thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we are doing a new releases video. I honestly don't know how many of these I have done at this point. I have a whole playlist if you're interested. We are reading new releases for July and I'm so excited because one of my favourite authors has dropped a new book, and that's Holly Jackson. Now Holly Jackson honestly is one of those ones where I would go, they're probably more of an auto by author. I do have a split. I have a favourite authors and then I have auto by authors, and Holly Jackson is firmly in that auto by author thing. I just buy everything Holly Jackson has written. Absolutely love it. And this is Holly Jackson's debut adult thriller. I am so excited. Previous to this, it's always been young adult. She did murder mysteries with the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series. Loved it. Then we had a couple of young adult thrillers and now we have an adult thriller, and I'm really looking forward to this. I think this is going to be, I mean, I love Holly Jackson book. Previous two books that Holly Jackson has done were both young adult thrillers, and both of those I read in a span of 24 hours. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that for this book, unfortunately. I am busy tomorrow, otherwise 100% I would dedicate a day to just reading this book. I cannot wait. I don't even know what this book is about because I don't actually want to know, but we have, I mean, look at these end pages. How cool is that? I just went to see how long it was, but actually I got distracted by these end pages. Oh, I love it. They're like almost like MRI scans of brains, but we've also got a frog and a shovel and a pumpkin. Ooh, okay, I am excited. I like the look of that. I think that looks amazing. Again, I don't know what this book is about. It is almost 400 pages. Okay, so it's just over 400 pages long. And let's just read the synopsis together. This is the first time I'm reading the synopsis because yes, I did just pre-order it from my local independent bookshop and did not know what it was about. I guess we're going to find out if that was a good idea or not. But as I said, Holly Jackson is an auto by author for me, so it was fine. And of course there's sirens. Every time I do an update, there are police sirens. It kind of works. You know, thriller, police sirens, kind of get it, but at the same time, not what you want to be listening to. While the police sirens were doing their thing, I had a little overview of the synopsis, and oh my god, this sounds so awesome. It says, in 7 days, Jet Mason will be dead. Jet is 27 years old. Having never left Woodstock, she's still waiting for her life to begin. I'll do it later, she always says. She has time. Until on the night of Halloween, Jen is violently attacked by an unseen intruder. She suffers a catastrophic brain injury. The doctor is certain that within a week she will be killed by a severe aneurysm. Jet never thought of herself as having enemies, but now she looks at everyone in a new light. Her family, her ex-best friend turned sister-in-law, her former boyfriend. I feel like we're gonna have a bit of drama there. She is just 7 days, and as her condition deteriorates, she is only her childhood friend Billy for help. But nevertheless, she's absolutely determined to finally finish something. Jet is going to solve her own murder. And yes, that sounds really interesting. I love the premise of that. I think it's going to hook me so much. And I'm so tired because I've been up so early, but I feel like this is not going to let me sleep. So we'll see. I'm so excited. Also, love the fact that this happened on Halloween, on the night of Halloween getting attacked, because I'm actually doing Summerween late, but I didn't get to take part in Summerween properly. I really wanted to, but it just didn't happen. I wasn't reading the right things to take part in Summerween when it was officially happening. If you've got no idea what I'm talking about, Summerween is hosted by Gabby. It's a week-long readathon, and it's all about having spooky things in summer because Halloween is obviously the superior holiday. I love it. Okay, I love Halloween. I love Summerween. It just didn't work with all the reading plans. But a few people on Discord also didn't get to read it at the time, and they said, how about we do it together and we just do it delayed and we start it on the 18th? And I was like, I'm joining. I'm jumping on this train because I really want to take part, and I knew I'd be starting this book, and now it takes place on Halloween. How can this has just lined up perfectly. I'm saying now this is going to be at least a 4.5. It's going to be great. Okay, we're going to have an amazing week. Do I just mention? We'll see how it goes. This could end up being a new releases / Summerween vlog. Oh, that does sound fun. Even though this video is coming out in August. Anyway, it'll be fun. Anyway, we're gonna go with this. This one is working for 2 prompts because I am planning to read this one at night, seeing as I'm going to start it tonight. So it's gonna work for that prompt. It is also a thriller, so it works for the second prompt of reading a horror or a thriller book. It doesn't work for the night sky prompt because this is a brain. However, it does look like trees and things, so I feel like potentially I could push the boat out a little bit there. We'll see. The other book I want to read for this video also doesn't have a night sky on it, but I am getting a special edition and I don't know what the special edition looks like, so possibly we'll see. What is the other prompt? I know there's one to read, to read a book that's been on your TBR for over a year. Well, that's definitely not the case because this came out yesterday. And the other book I plan on reading is due out in 4 days time, so definitely will not be working for that prompt. And then the last one is to read a manga graphic novel. Yeah, a manga graphic novel, novella, or like a spooky audio, but something short and easy and fun to read. So maybe I'll combine that with the one that's been on my TBR for a year, because I have quite a few manga that's been on my TBR for a while. Might be able to do it. We'll see. We'll see how it's gonna work, but we're gonna fit in Summerween with the new releases, but there's gonna be a couple of things that aren't new releases so that we can fulfill all the prompts. We'll see how it goes. Does any of that make sense? I don't know. I feel like my vlogs lately have been just slightly chaotic because I just keep making up and adding things to them constantly. But you know what is fun, and I'm enjoying it, and I have had a stellar reader month so far, and I think it's going to continue. So I'm going to, honestly, I was going to say I'm going to get written this straight away. However, I can't, because I know if I do that, I'm then not going to do the things I need to do. Like, I do need to do a little bit of editing, even if it's just a little bit today. So I should probably do that first, and then allow myself to do nothing but read this book, probably stay up far too late and just devour it. Probably not going to be able to finish it all today though, but you know, I will probably give it a good go and maybe get like halfway, and I'm so excited. Like, there is something about Holly Jackson's writing that grips me every single time, so I cannot wait, and I fully expect this to be another amazing read. So that is the plans. Let me know if you took part in Summerween and if you're interested in the new Holly Jackson book. I hope you're doing really well. This is probably going to be another long vlog, so grab yourselves a nice beverage and I will see you soon. I have made some really good progress with this book, although I didn't read as much as I thought I was going to on that first day. Instead, I was honestly too tired. By the time I'd finished doing all the things I needed to do, I'd read like 40 to 50 pages and was falling asleep, so I was like, no, this can't happen today. But yesterday I read a good chunk of this one. I've actually only been reading it of an evening time, and I'm really pleased because I was a little bit worried. Okay, worried, not really, but tempted, yes, because I'm really enjoying this book, and I was really tempted for tomorrow to just read this on my train journey and just finish it out, because I don't have long to go. I'm up to page 249, chapter 22, and I could easily finish this book on my train ride tomorrow. However, I really do need to fulfill that prompt, like, of reading a book at night or in the dark, and I can't read this in the dark on a train. It's just not gonna happen. So I'm gonna stick to only reading this off an evening. I'm actually gonna get to reading this very soon. I've got a couple things I need to finish, like get myself ready for tomorrow, and then I'm gonna read this before I go to bed, which I'm I'm so excited to get back into it because I've left it at a really good point. Let's just get straight into this because I'm loving it, and we'll talk about Summerween in a minute and how it's going. But this is really good. Okay, I was a little bit hesitant when I first went into it. There was lots of swearing and I was thinking, is this going to be one of those times where a young adult author has done an adult book, but in reality the only thing that's adult about it is the swearing, or in some other cases an explicit sex scene, and the rest of it doesn't actually feel like that. However, I think this works. The age range of the book works to make it a bit more believable because our character needs to be an adult for this plotline to work. Jet is 27 years old, she's living back at home, she dropped out of university, she's not working or anything, and she feels like a little bit of a failure, and her mum is really good at reminding her of that fact, which sucks, and we will get into their relationship because I have a whole tab just for that relationship. It's not a great family situation at all, to be fair. That tab could just be family drama in general with what's going on. She's a bit brash, she's a bit bold, she has a wall 10 feet high to keep people out just because, well, understandably so, she's got stuff that she's dealing with her family. She isn't the nicest character to follow, and I don't really get on with her. However, I do think it is understandable and does kind of make her feel a little bit more of a character, if that makes any sense. The night of Halloween, this is when we first meet her, there's this Halloween like event going on that her family hosts. Loads of people don't actually like her family for various different reasons, and she decides, you know what, I'm out, I'm gonna go home early. She was meant to help tidy up and stuff, but she doesn't want to do this, so she's not going to. And then when she gets home, she is attacked. She wakes up in hospital. Things are looking really bad for her because there is a piece of bone is really close to her brain. Now, surgery, there is a 90% chance that she would die on the operating table. Normally in this situation they said they would leave it, so because potentially the bone fragment could just make its way into a safer spot for them to do the surgery. However, she has a problem with her liver, no, her kidneys, and so this means that there is a higher chance, a much higher chance of her having a brain aneurysm, and because of where it is, they think that this aneurysm is very likely and probably going to develop in the next 7 days. So she has this choice. Does she wait it out and get her 7 days, or does she go straight into surgery with a 90% chance of dying on the operating table? And this is where I started to really get annoyed at her mum, because her mum turns around and goes to her, well, she's going to do the operation because she can't do this to me. And I'm like, the hell are you talking about? This isn't happening to you, it's happening to her. This is her choice to make. And while yes, I can completely understand the grief because, you know, it's her daughter, she doesn't want to lose her. At the end of the day, that 90%, like the 10% chance of success is so small that really has to be weighed. And so I was talking to my partner about it and we were like, you know, what would we choose? Things like this. But at the end of the day, like, it comes down to you, it's your choice, which is why this character has to be an adult, because if she was a child, well, this wouldn't happen this way at all, and it'd be even more unbelievable than it already is. But Jet decides, you know what, no, I'm going to take these 7 days and I'm going to do something. I'm actually going to finish something. For the first time in my life, she's always been someone that started things, that had ideas for things and never carried anything through, and she's like, I am going to actually start something and I'm going to solve my own murder. And so she walks out of that hospital with being told, okay, but you need to like change your dressings like every single day because, you know, you've got a massive wound at the back of your head. And she just walks out, and that's what she starts doing straight away. She starts trying to solve her own murder. And there is honestly some amazing descriptions of certain things, like her forgetting certain words because she also got hit on the left side of the head, and so that side, like, it's to do with like recollection and stuff. So she's struggling with I could have some of those details wrong, but it's explained really well in the book, but she's struggling to remember certain words. And I love how this book, how Holly Jackson does it so that she is explaining what the word is that Jet can't remember. And I thought it was so well done, and it is done a lot throughout this book, which makes sense because of the massive brain injury that she's just had. So yeah, so that I really enjoy. There is also later, as the aneurysm is developing, as different side effects are happening from that, those are things that I'm just like, actually that was done really well. Especially like one scene, I was like, oh yes, that is done perfectly, which I don't want to give away spoilers and stuff for, but I was like, yeah, no, that was really well articulated for how it can feel. So I think the descriptions of that are done really well. Kind of like her being so bold and brash, and she's very much like a character like, you either accept me as I am or you don't, and I don't care. And I like that. I kind of enjoy it. She's still not my favorite character to follow, but I do kind of like it. But the reason why, I would say a lot of the reason why she is the way she is, apart from just her normal personal quirks, is the fact that the family drama is so heavy in this book, because there is so much weight, things that you learn later on. So her dad's always trying to keep the peace, always trying to, you know, not take sides, be as fair as possible, always trying to be nice, but you know, that doesn't, nice is nice, it doesn't actually mean anything more. Sometimes you need more, you need a bit extra. I really enjoyed that discussion around that. Her mum, who is honestly constantly on Jet's case, constantly telling her like, you're not doing anything, always reminding her she's never accomplished anything, blames her for something, like a big thing that happened in the family, blames her for it. And then I'm just like, she's just really not nice. And then this whole time she's like, no, you have to look at what you're doing to me, and then she'll go off crying, and then her dad will be like, look, you've made your mum cry. And I'm like, come on, give the girl a break, she's been attacked, she's got 7 days to live, why are you going on, well, you made your mum cry? Like, no, that's rubbish. So I don't like the family dynamic at all, like just not even in the slightest. But I do have a tab dedicated to that. So I have 3 tabs, nothing major. I have one for the event itself, the attack, and also there's like lots going on. It's not just the attack on Jet. While Jet is trying to discover who attacked her, she's also finding all of these little things to do with her family, to do with her ex-boyfriend and stuff. Like there's all these different little things that are popping up, and I'm really loving it. So I have orange for all of that. I normally would split it between facts and then like suspicions and stuff, but this time I decided not to. I've just kept it with the one, and I'm fine with that. I'm also adding in little post-it notes for different theories. So at the end of a chapter, if I'm like, wait, what if it's this? I've been writing it down, because I honestly, I enjoy doing that. And then when I get around to rereading it, because I will reread this book, I'm really enjoying it. And I've done it with other Holly Jackson books where I've had post-it notes in them. I think the one I can definitely remember was 5 Survive. Oh yeah, look, see? Post-it notes. And I really love it, because then when I reread the books and I see all my theories and stuff, it's always entertaining to be like, oh girl, you were so wrong, or yeah, you got this one right, well done, go you. So I really enjoy it. And also, like, obviously you change as a reader over time, so I haven't reread this one yet, but I really want to. Now that I've been like getting back into a Holly Jackson book, I've been really feeling it. So I know if I reread it now, I find it interesting to find, like, see the different things that I underlined, the different things that in that moment resonated with me more than others. Also the different theories I came up with, whether I would have different theories now. I like to leave it long enough that I forget it. I like to leave thrillers, not that I read many of them, but if I was to reread certain books and mysteries long enough that I forget certain things. Like some books it's different, like if I've reread it 3 or 4 times I'm gonna remember it, but with others I try and leave it as long as possible so that I can forget it. So normally around the 2-year mark is when I start getting hazy on details, and then after that, that's when I know, okay, I'll be able to read this and enjoy it. And while I might remember as I read it, that's absolutely fine. I just like going in not knowing to then see where past me got all the ideas. Does that make any sense? Probably not. It's a whole tangent we didn't need. That was just to say that yes, I've got different theories and things. So far, one of my theories has been 50% correct. It's not been fully proven all the way yet, so I will report back in. I had one where I left it last night, so I need to put that post-it note in because, oh, that would be like, I think it's so unlikely, but also I think it would be so good. So I'm really intrigued for that. Then I have 2 different colours of which I swapped around what I was doing. So initially I did navy for all of the family drama, and then for some reason I then swapped it. I don't know why, but the first instance of me using purple was for like quotes that I really like, just, you know, different things that resonate with me. And then after that, every other time I've swapped the 2 around. I don't know why, so I need to sort those 2 out, but that's it for tabs. There's really nothing else, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying how engrossed I am, how I'm so invested in this storyline, and I would love to just finish it out, but I know I'm not going to be able to. I'm up early tomorrow, the last day of me traveling down, so it's the last day of me taking loads of train trips for work, which I'm very excited about. So I probably won't be able to finish this one because I mean I've still got like 200 pages to go, I think, so I don't think I'm gonna get a chance to be able to finish this book tonight, but I would definitely finish it tomorrow night. And then it works for the 2 prompts I had for this one, which was to read a thriller book and then also read a book at night or in the dark, which is amazing. Now the book I'm going to read on my train journey tomorrow is going to be Bat Eater. I'm enjoying this one, so I've started it. I am up to chapter 10 is where I just left it, page 120. I'm about just under 40% of the way through the book, that's what the Kindle's saying, and I'm liking this one. So this is one that I picked up because of all the hype. However, I really hate this UK cover. I really, really don't like it. It makes sense. It genuinely makes sense. Like, it's a cleaning bottle, makes sense for the character. So we're following Cora. Cora has OCD and she really struggles with cleanliness and things. Like, she will scrub her skin to the point where it is red raw. And she is also a crime scene cleaner, which I think is an amazing job role that we don't really see in books. So it does make sense that we have a cleaning spray bottle and the front of the cover. I just don't like it. It's fine, it's just not my favourite. So when it first came out and I saw the UK cover, I was so disappointed because the US cover is lovely, but I was like, oh, I'll get around to it eventually anyway, I'm not sure. Then all the reviews were coming about how amazing this book is, and then Kindle did a deal for 99p, so I was like, oh perfect, I'll pick it up then. And yeah, so far I'm liking it. I really like Cora as a character because there are certain things about her that I can relate to in a way. So she has this moment where she's opening her fridge. She thought she had 2 apples left and she had planned what she was going to do with those 2 apples and how she was going to eat them, what she was going to have them with, and all of this. And there was only 1 apple. And she just kind of had like a mini meltdown where she's like, I planned meticulously. I know exactly how much is in there. I know exactly what it was for and things. And I kind of get it because I can 100% be that way. I'm quite good at controlling it so that it doesn't actually go past my mind thinking that way. I am like that when it comes to plans and things. I am a extreme planner with everything. And if things don't go to plan, it stresses me out so much. It's unreal. I can be like that with food. Like living alone, I'm very meticulous in, and to be fair, always, not just living alone, but living alone enables me to do it more, where I can just be very meticulous in the amount of food I have, in where it all is placed in my fridge, in how much I've got left, in planning my meals for the week. Like I am, yeah, it's quite thing. My partner finds it hilarious. And honestly, I know I could be so much worse if I allowed myself to be, but I'm quite good at managing things and being a bit like, nope, rein it back in, take a few deep breaths, and we're gonna move on. So I really relate to those moments where Cora is really struggling. I like Cora as a character. I also really like her talk about, she's Chinese American, her mum is American, her dad is Chinese, and she has a sister who is fully Chinese, born in America, so still Chinese American, but actually her, I feel like I'm over explaining. Anyway, so she is caught between 2 different cultures. She has 2 aunts that look out for her. One is very much like, you need to be honouring God and Christianity and all of that side of things, and then you have her Chinese aunt who is trying to teach her more about their traditions and things, and how Cora just feels like she's not good enough for either of them. She's not enough of one or the other. I like that part of the book as well, but the main plot line of the actual book, I've not actually said, is the start of the book it's all taking place in COVID, and the start of the book, her and her sister, they are waiting for a train. And you know, they're holding toilet roll, so proud of themselves that they found toilet roll, because honestly, why was toilet roll such a big thing? I don't know, but so proud of themselves they found some toilet roll, then chatting away about different things, and then all of a sudden her sister is pushed in front of the oncoming train and is killed. Nobody knows who did it and stuff. The police kind of like stopped looking into it, and Cora, we fast forward a few months, she's now a crime scene cleaner and starts seeing this influx of a lot of Asian people being murdered, and there have been bats left at the scene, which reminds her of what the person said to her sister when they pushed her in front of the train, which was bat eater. I think this book does a really good show of highlighting the horrible racism that happened during COVID towards Chinese people. It was absolutely atrocious, and it doesn't sugarcoat it, and I really appreciate it for that. Like, it really is very honest about it, very upfront about it, and it really is horrendous the way people were treated and are still treated to this day. Like, it's awful. So, you know, this isn't like the easiest book to read, but I think it's really well written and I'm enjoying it. And so far, where I've just left it, we have had the introduction of the ghost. So we have hungry ghosts, and what I've pieced together so far, because this is something that Cora doesn't actually believe in, it's just kind of like little snippets that she's heard from her aunt. But basically, when someone in the family passes away, you're meant to burn, there's a specific word for it which I've forgotten, but you're meant to burn it, so like to give them peace and like offerings and things. But Cora hasn't done any of that. She hasn't visited the grave, she hasn't really done any of the things that she should have done to put her sister's soul to rest. And now we have this hungry ghost, and I think the ghost is described so creepily. It's really, really good. So yeah, so I'm really enjoying this book. I think it's really, really interesting. It's not working for Summerween though. So now we get back into the Summerween tangent. So yes, Not Quite Dead is working perfectly for 2 prompts. That's great. But I think I'm really going to struggle with the book that's been on my TBR for a year, and then also a book with a night sky on the cover. So I was thinking, so I do need to read Orpheus Builds a Girl, and I'm going to double check when I purchased this book, but I'm pretty sure this one must be a year old at this point. I feel like I could do it for that, and this is one that I do really want to read. This is one that you all voted on for the month, so I'm going to definitely be reading it regardless. This new releases video really isn't a new releases video, is it? But it's gonna be it, you know what, it just is what it is. But I really want to read this for that prompt, because then at least it's a book that's been on my TBR for a year. But the night sky on the cover I kind of struggling with and think, so we're just gonna see, we're gonna see what happens. Those are the 2 books that I'm reading currently. We have a book that was published earlier this year, which technically is a new release. I've not got to it yet. Then an actual like new release of the month of July, and then I will still be reading The Library at Helleborg. I've just got to decide, do I just wait until my special edition comes in, because I know it's the Evernight book, the Illumicrate Evernight book. I finally got on their waiting list. So I actually got the email through to be like, hey, the time has come, do you want to? And I was like, yes, thank you. So I know that's the book that is in the box, and I think that's going to be sent at the end of this month anyway. So I'm like, do I just wait for that? Maybe I'll just do 2 separate vlogs at this point with that book, because I don't know, I've got to sort out my August plans as well and videos, and we'll just see when this video comes out. I feel like this month has been really chaotic in terms of videos, because they're just kind of all over the place. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, I've got things I want to do. I want to get reading and stuff, so I will catch up with you in a couple days time. Probably by that point I would have finished both Bat Eater and Not Quite Dead yet, and then we'll decide what I'm going to do, because whether I just turn this into a Summerween vlog instead of a new releases one, because I've been kind of like thinking whether I still want to do the new releases. Like, I just filmed my August TBR and I did talk about a new release there, but I only had one that was a new release in August that came out, and then I'm reading an arc for a book that comes out in September. But like, I might just not do them anymore and just integrate them into just normal reading vlogs. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. I think we'll just play around with the formatting for a while and just go from there. But yeah, anyway, right, I'm gonna go. battery is probably an indication of how this filming day is going to go. We've got quite a lot I need to do, so I want to do this update, and then I've got update another video, and then I've got 2 that I want to film, and then potentially doing a little short. I would like to try and start getting back into TikTok and Instagram and stuff because I've got more time on my hands. I say that. Do you know the amount of stuff I've given myself to do with that more time on my hands? We're gonna see if it all actually works. It could crash and burn, but we're gonna try. But okay, we now have a full camera battery, and what I was saying is this book made me cry. It made me cry so much. Well, not loads and loads, but like it did. It made me cry. Okay, it got me in the feels, and so for that alone, this is going to be 5 stars. If I'm being honest, if I'm looking at this critically, I would say for me, this is like a 4.25 to a 4.5. As much as I can be critical when it comes to star ratings, and so for me, I'm looking at things like the plot, the characters, the writing itself, if I can get on with it, the pacing. The pacing, it doesn't matter whether it's slow or fast, but it's just got to be consistent. I don't want to be reading a book where it's sometimes slow, sometimes fast and all of this. That doesn't work for me. Those are the sort of things that I'm thinking about when I'm giving a book a star rating. However, emotional, it has to come into it. And so for me, because this is the first book that made me cry this year, I was invested enough in the storyline to actually cry at what happened. That's got to be 5 stars. Now, the thing that made me cry is the thing that always makes me cry. It is the one thing that if it's got it in a book, it is most likely going to make me cry. So I'm not going to say what it is because it's a big spoiler. I mean, I'm sure some people would work it out quite easily, but it got to me, and I was just like, oh, it was so good. And so for that, I have to give it that 5 stars. It doesn't mean that this is going to be like, oh yeah, this is the best book ever written. Like there's not like things that I would change about it, which is normally how a 5-star would be for me. But like I say, I don't normally cry at books, but there are specific instances where I will cry, and I have to be emotionally attached to the characters for it to work, and I was clearly invested enough to cry. So yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I didn't guess who it was. I feel like potentially there were things in there where I could have, but I never even thought about it, not once. I really enjoyed how this plot went. I liked how it actually wrapped up everything. It kind of did all the loose ends, kind of. So I thought that was quite good. I feel like there was one thing that I would have liked to have seen, but it's not like a massive thing. It's more to do with the side characters. I would have loved to have seen that conversation of when they found out what the other person was doing, how that all went, obviously keeping it vague. But that's it. Like, overall, I think the actual plot line was wrapped up really well. I think this is one of Holly Jackson's strongest work. It's been a while since I've read The Good Guy's Guide to Murder, so I don't know if I would say this is better than that, but emotional wise, I would say it's better because it made me cry, which the other books haven't done. It could also be a recency bias, as well as the emotional bias of I actually cried, but also the recency bias as this is the most recent book I've read by them. So I think I'd have to do a reread of A Good Girl's Guide to Murder to really truly go, okay, what is my favourite Holly Jackson? Because I know I prefer Good Girl's Guide to Murder to the other young adult thrillers as much as I still enjoyed them, but I'm not sure how I feel between this and A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which how many times am I going to say that title? But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was really good. I mean, like I say, Jet is not my favourite character, but I can understand her, and I just, yeah, this was great. I really enjoyed the twists and turns. There were moments where I was like actually gasping out loud. I was actually like, oh my god. So I thought it was just good. I just got so heavily invested in this. Yeah, this was fantastic. But I do want to go over what this video is going to be because I've decided to change. I don't think I'm going to do a proper new releases vlog. I haven't been doing that from the start anyway. I may still read The Library at Hellebore for this video. I'm definitely going to be reading it either way because it's one that Patreon voted on. I just don't know if it's going to go into this video or whether it will just be in a different video in August because I want to wait till I get my special edition of the book. I don't want to purchase an ebook copy which is like £12 when I've already paid for a special edition of this book, so I think I'm just going to wait for that to arrive. Instead, I am actually just going to focus on Summerween because I'm having so much fun, and I was thinking about it last night and I'm like, I just really want to enjoy Summerween, and that's what I'm going to do. So this book is going to work for a book that I read at night or in the dark because I was only reading this one of an evening, so that ticks off that prompt. Then I'm going to use Bat Eater to do a book that's a horror or a thriller because I'm still reading that one. I'm actually really close to the end. I am 75% of the way through Bat Eater and I'm liking it. I really like the ghost. Honestly, the ghost is great. I love the depictions of the ghost. I love learning about the like the hungry ghost, the lore behind it all, and I really enjoy that side of things. But I do feel like I don't know, I think this is another case like with The Eyes Are the Best Part, where I have enjoyed this book but I haven't loved it to the extent as the hype has done. So many people have been loving Bat Eater, giving it 5 stars, and I can really understand why. I think my expectations were a bit too high going into it, and I think I wanted more from the actual murders and what's going on there. I feel like I want this book to be a bit longer. I want it to be a bit more fleshed out. I mean, I still have the last bit of the book, so I could come in at the end and be like, actually no, this worked really well, etc. But I think currently I'm feeling like a 4.25. I am liking this book. I think it is really interesting. I think the depiction of COVID is really good. And so all of these things I do actually like. I love the discussions that are happening in this book. I think it is really well done. I was just expecting, I don't know, maybe something a bit more, but I couldn't tell you quite what that is. I just know for me this is not hitting that 5 star. So we'll see. We'll see how the ending goes. It could definitely get better and go to like a 4.5 rating. Like, we'll see. Like, it's like The Eyes Are the Best Part, which I know I keep referring back to, but it's like the other book that I had which had so much hype around that I went into expecting a 5 star, and instead I gave it a 4.25. But since finishing that book, I think I'd give it a 4.5 because of the connection I made in that book, and I was like, oh, that was so well done. So I would reread it, and potentially upon reread it would get that 4.5, but it's still not that 5 star yet. I feel like Bat Eater has the same potential where it could get up to a 4.5, but there's just something holding me back from that 5 star. So we'll see. But I'm going to be using that because I just thought, you know what, I'm reading it anyway. I'm finishing it, it's in this video, so let's actually use it for a prompt for Summerween. So that's 2 prompts done. Then I was having a little look through my shelves and I was like, I don't know what to do about these last 3 prompts. The main one that was stumping me is because I wanted to do a book that had been on my shelves for a year or more and also had a night sky on the cover, which I just wasn't quite getting to. So instead I've decided to not combine those 2. Instead, for a book that's been on my TBR for a year, I'm going with Orpheus Builds a Girl by Heather Parry. This is actually a book that I picked up in April last year. It's been on my TBR for more than a year. Works perfectly. This is also one that I need to be reading for the month because it's the one that was voted on the TBR game, which I do every single month. If you haven't seen my TBR videos, I have a TBR game, and at least one book in that video I will give one prompt, I will give 2 options and leave it up to you all to decide what one I read, and this is the one that won. Very excited about it, but yeah, there isn't a night sky on the cover of this one, unfortunately. Well, it doesn't have to be a night sky, it's just got to be a sky. I just keep saying night sky, it's like an automatic thing. This one doesn't work for that. So I'm going to read it for a book that's been on my TBR for over a year, which is probably going to be the next book I start after Bat Eater. I am planning to finish Bat Eater today. And then for the last 2 prompts of reading a manga, novella, or listening to a spooky audiobook, and then the sky on the cover, I'm actually going to go with Promised Neverland Volume 6 because this does have a sky. You can kind of see it better here where it's like a forest and you get a bit of a sky here. And then this is actually a manga, so it works perfectly. I don't know when I'm going to read this, but this is going to be one where it's like of an evening I'm just going to pick it up and read it randomly. Looking forward to it. The only thing is technically for Summerween, I think we were doing it from the 18th till the 24th. I think I'm going to go over. I don't think I'm going to get this finished because it's the 22nd today. And while I will be finishing Bat Eater and honestly could probably read this one, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish this one in 2 days. I might surprise myself, but I don't know if it will happen. I don't know actually. It's only 300 odd pages. It's gonna be a chill few next day. I might be able to do it. If not, then technically within the week for actual Summerween, this one could also work for a book that's been on my shelves for over a year because I got this one July last year. So that works perfectly. And I know it was earlier on in the month of July, so this one could work for those last 3. So technically I could finish Summerween today. We're just going to go with the mood and we're just going to keep going. Sorry this isn't like a true new releases vlog like I'd planned, but at the same time I'm just having so much fun doing Summerween and I really want to do more like themed challenge based vlogs. This is all because of Shop My Shelves and how much fun I had with that. So anyway, right, I'm rambling on. Like I said, I've got loads of things to film so I can natter at you in other videos. But yeah, I'm so happy with this. This was so unexpectedly emotional and I loved it, which to be fair, I don't know why it was unexpected. The whole premise is very emotional, but I guess I was thinking like, oh, maybe this could happen, and it doesn't. Anyway, right, I'll talk to you soon. Halfway through Orpheus Builds a Girl, and initial impressions, it's slow as hell. I'm up to chapter 13, page 136. This is super slow, and this is a book that you really have to kind of like peel back the layers to get everything from it. It's a book that, okay, you could read it really easy breezy, not focusing on too much of what's going on, but then I think it's just going to be hella boring, which is how I was reading it. I was like, you know, I'm just going to breeze through this, it's going to be fine, and I was so bored. But then I started looking deeper into it, really paying attention to all the smaller things, and went back through and annotated it, and I can say this book is good. It is unsettling, but it's done in a very, I want to say almost a soft way, but when you see it, it's glaringly obvious. So it's probably just me, how I went into it. I was very much yeah, I'll just chill and read, not gonna pay too much attention, thinking that things would happen really quickly, and they don't. This is really, really slow, but if you know what to look for, it's there. So we've got two perspectives. We've got Wilhelm, who, the way the two perspectives work is they're actually around this girl called Lucy, but you don't get Lucy's perspective. You get Wilhelm's perspective, and then you get her sister's perspective, but you never get hers. That is really interesting storytelling. It reminds me a little bit of The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides, who did that same kind of thing. Like, it was a book about these five girls who all ended up committing suicide, but you don't ever see their perspectives. You see it from outsiders looking in, and that's what you get in here. At first, the perspectives are just looking at childhood, each of them growing individually, but now we're at the point where the perspectives, they've crossed over, they have met one another. So it's really, really slow, but you're slowly building up this character, this understanding of these two people, and then through the cracks you're getting to know Lucy, but obviously it's through the lens of other people, so you never actually know her, which I think is very interesting. It makes her feel like a ghost, like she's not even the main person of her story. It's always about how it affected others, which I think there's loads of things you can pull apart with that. So Wilhelm, we first meet him when he's very young. He's got a really close connection with his grandmother. He's also got this fascination around death. Later on, as he grows up, he's very interested in the medical profession. His grandmother was reading to him from lots of medical books and things, so he's always been really interested in that. Now, he's German, and this is at the time, I think, of World War II, I want to say, but you can clearly see that he is one of the scientists at one of the concentration camps. Nothing is explicitly said, it's all just said in the implications. So I do have a tab, it's awkward to see, but it's like I've got a slight green tinge to it for all of the different medical experiments and things that are going on. There's also another scene in here which isn't to do with Wilhelm, and it's actually to do with Lucy and her sister Gabriella, who they do something, and that was quite graphic and gross, so I use the same tab for that because it's all kind of technically under the same thing. But Wilhelm is talking constantly about these different experiments, and there is one line that really kind of stood out to me and kind of cemented, oh, okay, this is what I think it is. Again, nothing's explicitly said. It's, I had done work that enhanced the state of humans in the world and would continue to do so. It was inarguable. He's talking about all the different things that he's done and how so many people can question the morals of all of that, but at the same time he's like, but I've done stuff to advance humans' understanding, so, you know, you can quibble all you want on the ethics, but this is what I've done. He's a really horrible character. I really don't like him. Apart from his grandmother, he doesn't like women. He uses them as tools. Just a really horrible character to follow, I'm not gonna lie. But then he meets Lucy and he starts almost turning into a Humbert character, you know, like from Lolita, where he's like, oh my god, this girl, this child, like he constantly refers to her as a child. She's 19, he's in his like, well, he says middle age, so I'm guessing around mid-40s. He's constantly going on about how beautiful this girl is, how she's so provocative, that she knows what she's doing and stuff. Like, it's gross. It is absolutely gross the way he's like in his mind about things. But he has this obsession with life after death. Lucy's very ill, she's got tuberculosis. He insinuates himself into the family, and that's where I'm up to. You know, I know from here it's going to progress, it's going to be really disturbing, the things that are going to happen and stuff, but it was slow. It was slow as hell getting there. Because then you do have Gabrielle's perspective, so it swaps. Every chapter is the different perspective. She is talking about their family life, how difficult it was, how she's constantly feeling like she's trying to keep everything together. And there's also that weight on being a girl and, you know, having to be attractive enough to get a husband, but not too much that, you know, people are going to want more, and to like not be easy, and all of these different things, you know, the weight of being a girl and how that can be. I ended up tabbing quite a lot of those scenes where it's just talking about so much about being a girl, going through girlhood, the expectations that are on them and stuff throughout that. Now I don't actually like Gabriella as a character either. I felt like at first started to connect to her as a character, just in terms of that feeling of like being in a difficult family situation where you're just never quite sure how things are going. Like, it also dealing with the fact that her father's always wanting more and more and more, and eventually they all get moved over to America. They're Cuban and they don't feel fully connected into the society, so different events happen that kind of solidify that, how they're not fully accepted, and it's not great. Parts of that makes her feel like a very believable, understandable character. However, there are other things where I just don't agree with what she's doing. The way she paints Lucy as a character that is constantly like disregarding rules, that she's too loose in her sexuality and all these different things, but she does it alongside her. That's the thing I don't understand. And she's like, well, I have to keep an eye on her, so I have to do these things. Like, no you don't, that's your choice. But the way she paints it out like this is all Lucy's fault, rather than, you know, I think it's just a really interesting narrative choice to never get Lucy's perspective in all of this, all happening to her, but you're always seeing it through a second-hand perspective. And we start off the book with Gabriella telling us, the reader, that she could not allow Wilhelm's book to go without commentary, because this is Wilhelm's scientific notes. He's made this book, he's at the end of his life, and he is writing down the different things that he's done. And Gabriella's telling you how she could not allow her sister's story to go unaltered just through this guy's lens. So she felt she had to put a say in it, which is, you know, I can understand that. However, again, you're not seeing her side of the story, you're not understanding Lucy's side of the story. This is still through a filtered lens that is slightly more biased because of that family and some of that resentment that she has towards Lucy, which you can feel on page. So I don't know, I think it's really interesting. I'm looking forward to the rest of this book where we start getting more into the horror side of things. I'd say, I mean, this is a horror book, but it's very literary horror. It's very slow and methodical. This is actually based on real people. I'm looking forward to reading the author's notes to actually get the full understanding of that when I finish the book. But so far, I mean, I like it. I like the writing style. I would just say it's super slow. I feel like some of that starting bit we didn't actually need. I feel like Wilhelm getting to know like his experiments and stuff and all of that, like, yes, that's there, but I don't know, some of Gabriella's perspective, I mean, I understand it to get a feeling for this family dynamic, but at the same time, like, I feel like they could have been condensed a little bit rather than waiting till I think it's around the 100-page mark. Yeah, that kind of started setting up the events for where we're going. We could have done that a little bit quicker. I feel like, you know, maybe 60 pages dedicated to understanding the backstory of these two characters, but then move on into the actual plot line. I feel like it was very slow. Honestly, if it wasn't for the fact that this was the only book I took with me to work yesterday, I probably would have DNF'd it because it was so slow. It's almost like The Tale of Frankenstein, how slow that can be at the start, building up to Victor Frankenstein doing his experiments. Frankenstein is actually more condensed. So this does read like a gothic classic book with that slow introduction, so I can give it that. Like, it is a modern day gothic classic in a way, but it's very slow. And once I was in that mindset of, oh, okay, I should read this like a classic book, this was a lot easier for me to read. I don't want to put people off by saying that, but I think you just need to appreciate it's very slow. Got a really detestable Wilhelm in this book, like, he's gross. I don't know if any of my rambles made sense because I went through such a roller coaster with this book. Like, I still think it's good. I'm pleased I've stuck with it. I'm hoping that this end of the book is going to be really good. I mean, on Storygraph, the rating for this book is like a 4. Like, that's a really good rating. It is a bit of a slower one, so just kind of keep that in mind for this book. Anyway, the next update will be me finishing out this book, finishing out Summerween, because I have changed my mind on what I'm doing with the library at Helleborg. I'm actually going to use it for another readathon, which is Jan's full moon readathon. So I'm actually going to use it for a prompt. So she's got like different tarot creature cards that you're meant to be collecting, and so I'm actually going to use it for one of those. That will be coming to you towards the end of August. Technically, we're meant to be finishing Summerween today. I don't know if that's going to happen because I've still got quite a bit of this book to read. I've got about 170, just under 170 pages to read of this book. We'll see if it's doable today or not. It may be, I think, especially if the pacing picks up, if the intrigue picks up. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, right. Update to talk about two books I actually finished before I started reading Orpheus Builds a Girl. Genuinely can't believe I forgot those. I think I just assumed I'd already done an update for everything, but no, that was not the case. So let's talk about the two books I finished. Well, three now, but the two books I finished before Orpheus Builds a Girl. So I finished reading Bat Eater, and wow, the ending, it made me eat my words. It was so good, so impactful. Everything I was saying about how I wanted a little bit more from the actual murder mystery side of things ramped up was so surprising. I could not have guessed any of the things that were happening. It was done so freaking well. So yeah, I was just in awe. I just thought, wow, this is amazing. And literally it was from when I last said about how, oh, you know, I don't know, because I love the messaging, because I think that was brilliant. I think really highlighting the way that Kylie Lee Baker did not hold back, did not hold your hand throughout all of this, was brutal and honest about, look, this is how people being treated, still are, and, you know, just really calling it out into the open. And I thought that was really effectively done. I really enjoyed Cora's struggles between, you know, not feeling quite like she fits in anywhere. I do think there is only one thing that probably stops me from giving this book the full 5 stars, and that is a lot of references that are made to something Cora dealt with don't ever actually get it confirmed. It's just kind of spoken about and in the background, and I feel like if that had actually been brought to the forefront a little bit more, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I want this book to be longer and I want that to be explored as well, and then I think it would get that full 5 stars. As it is, it has jumped up to like a 4.75. I really enjoyed it. The longer I've sat with it, the more I've been like, yeah, that was just really effective. And then like I'm thinking about it and I'm like, the only thing that's stopping me is this, so therefore it should be at the very least a 4.5. but the more I've been thinking about it, I'm like, I think it's a 4.75. I preferred it to The Eyes of the Best Part, which I think, and as I've mentioned several times on reread, I think The Eyes of the Best Part would get like a 4.5. but this book, there was just something that little bit more to it. Both books were great. Both books I would really recommend. I think both of them look at family dynamics in a really interesting way, really effective way, one that feels very real and raw. And then we have this other side of things. Oh, they're both just really good. They're both just really good books. Maybe I should just give them both a 4.75. We're not here to talk about The Eyes of the Best Part. Bat Eater, oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I thought it was really well done. I really enjoyed it and it was a really good book. So there's just that tiny little thing that stops it from being that full 5 stars for me, but I love how I was like pretty much done with the book. I've got the last little bit to go, and then it just was like, yes, here's all the things that you were wanting. We have delivered, and it's just good. So yeah, that was amazing. Really happy with that. After I finished that, I then later in the evening read Promised Neverland Volume 6. This did not take long, but it was great. I really enjoy this manga series. It's probably one of my favourites. I think it's that right level of darkness but also hope to it, and yeah, this was good. This was a really good volume. This one had some revelations in it which I was just like, yes, loving it. Can't wait to see where it goes from here. If you don't know what the Promised Neverland is about, I'll just give you a very brief overview. We start off in this orphanage following a couple main characters, one of the main ones being Emma. They're super smart, they get tested every single day, but you know, life at the orphanage is really good and hopefully they'll get adopted. However, one day Emma and Norman see what it actually means to be adopted and it's horrific. So now they're like, okay, no, we've got to get out. We've got to plan an escape, and that is what is all happening, and I really, really like it. I think it's really good. I would be really interested in watching the anime of this one, but I do want to get a little bit further in before I start. But I just, yeah, I really like this. This is really, really good. I mean, it's dark, it doesn't hold back at times, but it's really interesting, and yeah, one of my favorite mangas to read. And then I have finished Orpheus Builds a Girl, and I'm so conflicted on this book. This is a book that is going to make you angry. It's going to make you frustrated. There is not a single likable character in here. The things that are happening, the things that are being done, you just feel so angry and frustrated about it. And the fact, like, that at the ending, like, I literally made a comment in the book going, what the hell? What? WTF? I was like, what? Why? And the thing is, like, you then read the author's note and you're like, okay, this is all based on true stories. There is so much in this book that is going to make you angry and frustrated. However, it was still bloody slow. That first 100 pages, like, it was a slog to get through. There was a point where I was like, I could probably DNF again. Thinking about it, I could have DNF'd this book and been fine with not finishing this book, but the messaging in it is brilliant. So I wasn't sure about what it was that was stopping me from absolutely loving it, apart from it being super slow at point. But I was like, there's something that isn't quite gelling with me, and I think it's because we never get Lucy's perspective. We never see her side of the story. This is meant to be her story, where she has a voice, where she can speak out against these atrocious things that were done to her, but she never even gets given that voice. Instead, we see it from the guy that's doing all this stuff to her, and then her sister. I think it would have been so much more effective to have had Lucy's perspective. The start of this book, as I said, really slow. I understand why we get Wilhelm's perspective of, like, his childhood growing up. Some of the things that happened and stuff clearly shaped him as a person, and the things that happen later in the book do mirror some of the things that happened at the start of the book. So 100%, that all makes sense. Gabriella's perspective and getting, like, the family dynamics and stuff, yes, it helped understand the family dynamic and things, but it was too focused on her and not on Lucy. And I'm like, but I want Lucy. I want Lucy to have a voice in this. And I think it makes you even more angry at the fact that she doesn't get one. And you know, maybe that was the whole purpose of this, but I feel like I would have connected to this book so much more, enjoyed it so much more. Well, enjoy is the wrong word, but just like, this is always an awkward one because you're like, you don't enjoy a story like this, but I would have just felt a lot more satisfaction, I guess, if I'd had Lucy's perspective and really got to know her through her own thoughts and through her own voice, but we just never get that with this. I also think it's not quite how I would want this sort of story. So it's portrayed at the start that we're getting Wilhelm's, like, basically a memoir. He's writing down what happened and the things that led up to it and stuff like that. So that all makes sense. He's an atrocious, despicable character. I really hate him, but you're meant to hate him. Gabriella's parts, you know, it was supposed to be, I can't allow this story to go unchallenged. I need to give my sister a voice, but then it didn't really do that. And then there were points where the point of views, like, they start crossing over because, you know, they're in the same vicinity as one another and stuff. And so I was expecting a lot more to be like, he's saying that, well, that's not true, this is what happened, sort of thing. But it doesn't happen like that. You see the differences between the two perspectives. Like, you will get a scene happen in Wilhelm's perspective, and then in the next chapter you'll get the same scene but from her perspective. And yes, there are differences in what is being said, what is being heard and things like this, but it's nothing where it's like explicitly calling him out. I'm just like, I just feel like you could have pushed that little bit more for it. So this is a bit of an odd one on, like, where do I rate this one, because I could have DNF'd and been fine with DNFing it. So then that makes me think, do I just give it a 2.75? Because I think the messaging in this book is really good, really powerful, really evocative. Like, you know, all the emotions were there. I was so angry reading this book. Well, for the second half. The first half, it was just slow. So I'm like, 2.75 for that. However, I did also think that what it's done is well done, and if I compare it to another book that I gave 2.75 where I really enjoyed the messaging but didn't enjoy how it was done, and that would be Chain Gang All Stars. Really important messaging to do, impactful, definitely think people should read it, but something that I just struggled with the formatting of the book and wouldn't reread, so I gave it a 2.75. Now, I preferred this to Chain Gang All Stars, so therefore that should go up in my opinion. And it is a book that is gonna stay with me for a while. Like some of those scenes, some of the things that happened, like it's definitely gonna stay with me. You can see the different influences of different books, Lolita, also little sprinklings here and there of Frankenstein, especially like, you know, certain nights where he's doing like the big things and, you know, there's like storms happen and things like that. For those it should get a little bit more, but I'm like, do I do a 3? Do I do a 3.25? I don't know. You can see how conflicted I am. My sister wants to read this one, so I'm going to be giving this to her. She's fine with all my little notes and scribbles and tabs and stuff, so I'll give this to her and see what she thinks. Maybe I'll just settle on a 3. We've finished 4 books this week. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed doing Summerween. We have completed all the prompts for Summerween, which is amazing. I did read a 5-star book, which was Not Quite Dead Yet, and really enjoyed this one. I just thought it was absolutely brilliant. All the things I've already said, so I'm really pleased with how this week's reading has gone. Overall, I've had some really good books this week. Even the one that makes me feel conflicted, I can say it was still a good book. I'm still interested in reading Heather Parry's other work, which is Carrion Crow, which I've got on my Kindle. I think the potential is really there. It's been good. I've really enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I know it's been a change from the new releases. Really happy with that decision. I really am excited that I managed to take part in Summerween, and it's just been a really good reading week, and I'm ready to get going onto the next one. Although I think I'm going to give myself a day off from reading because I read a lot inside one week, because I did actually finish this on the 24th. So yeah, 1 week, 4 books read. I'm really impressed with myself. Like, I mean, I have a lot more time on my hands to be able to read now, which is amazing, but also it has been a lot. So I think I'm going to give myself a rest. I actually want to just like edit some videos and get some YouTube work done. So I think I'm going to focus on that. And then we're going to be going into the very next video, which is Shop My Shelves episode 3. And I'm so excited for it. Yeah, we are at the end. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. You have to let me know if you've read any of these books and what your thoughts and feelings on them are. But yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for now. So thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, then let's put a clock in the comments below. Thank you for all of your support, for watching, for commenting, for those of you that just silently watch. Like, I truly appreciate it. An extra special thank you goes out to my Patreons. All your support over there has been absolutely amazing, and I love it so much, and thank you. But right, okay, if you've enjoyed this video, then please do give it that thumbs up, subscribing and commenting. Those 3 things really help this channel out. My social media links, everyone I've mentioned, Discord and Patreon, all of it is always linked below for you. And I will of course catch you in the very next video.